Magic has rules. Magic in fiction follows laws. There are 3 laws to magic that should be followed when writing for fiction. Let us tell you where Dragon Ball succeeds and Dragon Ball Super fails. If you want to join the discussion, then I highly suggest you watch Brandon Sanderson's lecture on this very topic, though we'll be explaining enough so it won't be required for watching the video. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Why should we care about some guy's rules that he named after himself? Who the chestnut is this walnut, and why should I listen to him?
Why should you listen to him? Okay, I know Sanderson is relatively recent to the writing world. Well, at least he's not Tolkien or C.S. Lewis or some other well-known name. But if you haven't looked into him yet, you should. If you're into writing, or fantasy, or writing fantasy. Anywho, Brandon Sanderson is a highly acclaimed best-selling author who not only holds a master's in creative writing, but also teaches classes at a university on writing, and writes at least 1 book, sometimes 2 or more, a year, visits cons, tours the world, runs a podcast with other published authors, and oh, did I mention he practically hit the fantasy world by storm when he came on the scene finishing the late Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time epic series? Yeah, not just some lame-o in a video on the internet. His information, and his laws of magic especially, should be respected. Magic systems are kind of his thing. Though, I'm not sure how he'd feel about us applying them to Dragon Ball.
Well, regardless of how Reda Senpai would feel about using his laws of magic for manga, though I'm pretty sure he would be fine with it since he did reference comic books in his lecture, we're doing it now. Because what am I here for if not to crush this idea that we can't treat Dragon Ball like a work of fictional literature? So, simple enough structure this go around. Sanderson's first law of magic.
An author's ability to solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well the reader understands said magic. If characters, especially viewpoint characters, solve a problem by using magic, the reader should be made to understand how that magic works. Otherwise, the magic can constitute a deus machina. Ideally, the magic is explained to the reader before it is used to resolve a conflict. Much like a sword or a large sum of money, magic is a useful tool. Understanding the tools available to a character helps the reader understand the character's actions. It avoids questions like, where did he get that? Or how did he do that?
Now in the lecture we're going to link, Sanderson describes the differences between soft and hard magic, and it's worth discussing where we feel Dragon Ball's magic stands. Side note, if you're confused about what we mean by Dragon Ball's magic, nin, chakra, ki, chi, energy, a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. It's magic. Now, I would think you would place ki as soft magic because it seems to follow very few, if any, rules, and the transformations especially are activated through vague understandings of emotions rather than any real rules and guidelines.
Not really, though. As Sanderson describes it, hard and soft magic aren't determined by how detailed your rules are, or how rational they are, but instead, soft magic will have a sense of wonder, and hard magic will be more about problem solving. If your magic is going to solve your plot problem, then it needs rules. Dragon Ball's ki and transformation rules may not be explicitly explained, but they have pretty consistent patterns that they follow, and the characters use different techniques through their usage of ki to try to win the day. Therefore, I would put it closer to hard magic style. Not all the way, but more on that side of the line.
Oh, right, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. I guess the takeaway from that is to remember that hard magic doesn't need to answer every question some kid on a forum, as Sanderson would call them, can come up with.
There are people on forums somewhere who will say, but this...
It just needs rules that are consistent. Like how ki is just about using a finite resource of energy that one has within themselves and pushing it out. Or how transformations are about reaching a certain mental state to cause the initial trigger and then practice/training to better control them at will. If you're into power scaling discussions, this goes into that. You wouldn't be able to argue about the rules if there weren't any to begin with. So Reda and I are on the side of believing Dragon Ball has a magic system that is closer to hard magic than soft. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's actually talk about the first rule. Because we are calling the transformations hard magic, and Super Saiyan was properly set up as this thing that we needed to solve our problem, using it to take out Frieza is a proper use of magic. With Vegeta talking about how important the Super Saiyan puzzle piece was to our hero's success to the point of it becoming a meme, and with the struggle to earn that power, it felt satisfying to see it save the day.
Because the reason for these rules is to give us these satisfying moments at the end of the plot arc.
So, what's an unsatisfying end to a plot arc that we can pin poor magic use on? I think we all know where I'm going with this. Why did so many people feel unsatisfied with future Trunks' super spirit sword of truth and love beating Zamasu?
I'm never satisfied.
Because they shifted magic style and they used it in the wrong way for the style they shifted to. There is nothing wrong with having an unexplained power boost. However, because of the style and promises and expectations that Dragon Ball has always had, future Trunks borrowing tropes from other anime, stories, whatever, to win the day, or at least beat phase whatever of Zamasu, feels like a letdown. Things shifted into a soft magic style, when all we really needed was more build-up, or at least acknowledgement that there could be something Trunks could unlock. It didn't require much, just a few throwaway lines, i.e., there's something beyond a Super Saiyan, which leads us into the Super Saiyan 2 transformation. But this time, we got nothing. So, we are left confused and slightly bummed instead of excited and pumped up.
Right, the understanding of the magic was not proportionate to its ability to solve the problem it did. So, Rita, what's Sanderson's second rule of magic?
The limitations of a magic system are more interesting than its capabilities. What the magic can't do is more interesting than what it can.
Right, Superman's kryptonite is more interesting than his super strength. Fullmetal Alchemist's limitation on its alchemy is a major player in its plot. Kaioken's cost on Goku's body is what made the fights where Goku used it so tense. That threat fueled the tension. The strategy and how different characters use their ki goes along with the limitations of only having so much within them to draw on, and needing a certain level of concentration to make it work. You can't spam Special Beam Cannon. It has a cast time, and you'd run out of mana anyways. When DBS reintroduced the Mafuba, I was personally confused by it. They took away the cost of life that comes of using it without so much of a, wait, wasn't that a rule? Line of dialogue. So suddenly we went from, someone has to sacrifice their life for this 9 times out of 10 guaranteed win, to, well, we got it and everyone's fine, but oh lol, didn't work because stupid character forgot a piece of paper. Which leaves you wondering what the point even was. Where was the risk? We're right back where we started and haven't lost anything.
If I was an editor for this story, I would have deleted that part.
So taking out the limitation of the technique took out what could have made that plot thread more satisfying.
I'm never satisfied.
Did we win? No, and now we're worse off. As opposed to simply, no, but it doesn't matter, we're fine. And this is getting kind of long, Rita, so how about you read that third rule to us?
Expand on what you have already before you add something new. A brilliant magic system for a book is less often one with 1,000 different powers and abilities, and is more often a magic system with relatively few powers that the author has considered in depth.
Okay, so let's open this can of worms. Super Saiyan 4 follows Sanderson's third rule of magic better than Super Saiyan God. Because Super Saiyan 4 was expanding further on 2 pre-existing magics coming together, while Super Saiyan God was a new ability separate from the cohesive whole.
The Super Saiyan stepladder is all practically reached via the same method: intense training and/or emotional breakthrough. Goten and Trunks are an off-screen mystery. Super Saiyan 4 takes the ape transformation and adds it on top of a new Super Saiyan form. Still personal trigger. Whereas Super Saiyan God introduces a new concept of how to get this power via other people joining hands? As well as any other new transformation Super gives us. They broke the stepladder magic system of before and are now hit and miss on the explanations of the new stuff.
So wouldn't it have been better to just continue up the stepladder of numerical Super Saiyan transformations?
You might even reach Super Saiyan 5!
Super Saiyan 5? Are you serious?
I don't think so, but then again, I think the whole series should have ended after the final manga chapter. It's 2 different problems that are, in fact, problems. Nothing can continue forever, but completely disregarding a previous system in favor of something entirely new isn't much better. Like Rita said, it's not only that they broke the stepladder, but also that the explanations are hit or miss. Super Saiyan 4 continued the trend up while adding a new factor by combining with Ozuru, something that had long since been established and understood as well. Similar, yes, to the Popsicle Saiyan, but Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan are still relatively new and feel out of place. So it seems like a similar idea that just is not the same in execution.
Good idea, bad execution. This is the kind of thing we're talking about when we say that phrase. Believe it or not, writing actually does have these kinds of rules. And yes, comics and anime count as a form of writing. Breaking these kinds of rules leads to lots of people in your audience being unsatisfied.
Whatever side of the camp you're on, it can't be denied that a lot of people who were satisfied by Dragon Ball were left unsatisfied by Super. Bleach still had fans during and after its decline. It's okay to be the person who forgives breaking these rules. This is just a study, an explanation, and hopefully a continuing discussion about where these rules were broken, how it caused some audience members to become frustrated, and why that matters. But then again, what do I know? I can't speak or read Japanese.